Rev up your engines!
Well, it's official. Mercedes-Benz has killed the standard transmission forever. So they're never going to make any more cars with standard transmissions. Of course, they're all talking about electric cars. I can't think of the last time I saw a standard transmission Mercedes. They're luxury cars in the United States. Now, in the rest of the world, you know, they got standard transmissions. All kinds of stuff, taxis. Now, they haven't done it yet. They say in 2023 they're going to stop making manual transmission cars. So, you know, the death of the manual transmission car is coming to hand. Not that most Americans care. Something like 96% of Americans drive automatic transmission vehicles. So, we over here don't really care, one way or the other. Now, in Germany, you can still get a CLA class with a manual gearbox. And if you've ever driven a manual Mercedes, I have. They're not the greatest manual transmissions in the world anymore. They're kind of clunky. They weren't smooth. They were nothing like a Japanese standard transmission. But it doesn't mean that that's the end of all manual transmissions. For example, Toyota's thinking about making electric cars with manual transmissions. If you have an electric motor with a transmission, a manual transmission, you can shift. That would be a screamer. If you're one of those rare few in the world that want a standard Mercedes, well, you won't be able to get them after next year. Well, he says, my tire treads are receding like your hairline. What can I do about it? Realize I'm 69 years old. Started here and it worked back here. If you got tires that are 69 years old, you're really pushing it. They're going to be dry rotted. Now, if your tire treads are just wearing out too early, first thing you want to do is check your suspension. Worn struts will wear them. If your alignment's off, sitting one side or the other, either the inside or the outside will wear unevenly. Often it's a problem with the suspension system that causes the tires to wear out prematurely. And of course, fill them up with air correctly. If you have too much pressure, the middle will wear and the outsides won't work. So make sure you got the right tire pressure. And don't buy cheap tires. Don't buy the cheapest tires you can get, like cheap Chinese tires, because they're junk and they'll wear out faster. Oh my God, it's Jose, says. Scotty, greetings from Texas. My car shifts hard whenever I refuel completely. Goes away after a while. And it does it if I idle for a while. Had an air leak and purge valve replaced a while ago. What's the solution? When you refuel and your car goes wonkers, generally with the problem that you're having and it goes away, is you got a problem in your evap system. The evap system is supposed to take the gasoline-filled air in your gas tank. When you fill it up, it's got to go somewhere, right? And it's not supposed to go into the atmosphere. It goes through the evap system, and it goes through the canister, the charcoal canister that's supposed to filter out the hydrocarbons, then pure air comes out of the evap canister vent valve. Well, if your evap canister vent valve is stuck shut, then all that gas stays and goes in the intake manifold, and it floods it out when you restart, and it runs crappy until it clears out. Pray all you need is an evap canister vent valve. That will often fix it, but of course they're run by computers and electronics. They can go bad too, but try the evap canister vent valve. That's the cheapest, easiest thing that will often fix that problem. Hey Mama says, what do you think of a modern Honda Accord? Well, Honda makes probably the best engines in the world. They sell millions and millions of engines every year, even to people that don't make cars. They make engines for all kinds of things. They really know how to make engines, and the Accords are well-built cars. You know, all the new cars are too expensive as far as I'm concerned. I'll never buy a new car. I buy a used one. You always save money buying a used one if you check it out, and I check out my own car, so unless I screw myself over, I'm not getting any problems. They ride nice. They get decent gas mileage. I'm personally a Toyota man because I'm cheaper, and they generally cost a little bit less. They generally last a little bit longer than Hondas do. But they're excellent cars. Nothing really wrong with them other than new ones cost too much. Jacob Sandoval says, Scotty, I have a 2001 Chevy S10 with a 4.3. What do you think of it? All right. Well, the V6 engines, a lot of people don't like them because they don't have the horsepower and they can wear out prematurely and blah, blah. But if you change the oil every 5,000 miles, use pure synthetic oil, it can last quite some time. You got to take care of it. The weakest point of that vehicle is the automatic transmission. I would change the filter and fluid every 40,000 miles on one of those things. You do that, pray a lot, because it is a GM product. On the other hand, it's 2001. They built them much better in those days than they do today. I got people with old 90s and early 2000s Chevy pickups, and they love them. The newer ones, generally they hate them because it's old, still running good. Just keep taking care of it. You never know. Might last a really long time. Knife says, I got a 99 Toyota Camry, and it recently started dying down on cold starts. What's going on? First check for vacuum leaks. Yeah, it's old. The thing is what? 23 years old. Look at the vacuum lines. Maybe one fell off sucking air. Simple. Put a new vacuum line on. You can get bulk stuff at any auto parts store and cut it to fit, right? If it's not that, do my video. Make your car run better with a little spray cleaner. You can clean the throttle and the mass airflow sensor very easily using spray cleaner. That will often fix it. Now, if that doesn't fix it, a lot of times, as long as you got a clean air filter and fuel filter, make sure they're clean. But if that's not, a lot of times it's just dirty fuel injectors. And try my friend Bernie's stuff from ATS Solutions in Albuquerque. He has a fuel injector cleaner. You pour it in a gas tank and just drive the car, and it does phenomenal cleaning of injectors. Even Toyota injectors will get old and dirty and not spray correctly, especially when cold. And that cleaner is the best thing you can do other than pay a mechanic with a pressurized machine to clean them, which is going to cost you a lot more than buying a can of the stuff. Funny Nathan 22 says my instrument light fuse keeps popping. I have a 2000 Dodge Dakota. I can't see the gauges because the light keeps popping the fuses. I got it on as high as it goes, the dimmer, and it keeps popping the fuse. I changed the dimmer switch, but it keeps popping the fuse. You tried the logical thing. A lot of times those dimmer switches go bad because you make it dim or bright. I never understood. Why would you want it dim? You want it bright so you can see, right? They go bad. You changed that, didn't fix it. That means you got a problem in your dash, which is typical. The truck's 23 years old. The dash unit itself just wears out. It's printed circuit. And the stupid crap is just like glued on. And it starts to delaminate and come apart. And then it shorts out. A 2000 Dakota, go to a junkyard and buy a used dash. Because the new one's going to cost you a fortune if you can even find one. But generally a used one. Now, it's not hard getting them out. You pop the panel. I got videos on that, taking your dash apart. Pop it and get it out. I mean, if you want, you might look. Sometimes you can see this it's coming apart in a solder inch. You could resolder it if you want to go that far. Some guys will. But it's printed circuit. It's pretty cheap crap. When it gets old, it starts falling apart. Usually it means you need another one. So you might try one in a junkyard. Riley 3 says, can I use a higher tire load index or replacement tires? I got a 2019 Hyundai Elantra GT. I had to replace all the tires. The tires on the car have a load index of 88. Is it okay if I put a load index of 92 tires for the replacements? Oh yeah, better tires, that's all. When they build them, they want to put on the cheapest tires they can because it costs money to make good tires, so they put cheaper tires on them. You want to put one that has a heavier load index? Great, that's better. It's the same thing with batteries. Some Hondas come with these tiny little batteries, right? You can put a bigger battery in as long as there's a space to put it in because they're just using a small battery. It's cheaper to make them that way. It's just a fact. So yeah, you put a better load index tire, you got better tires. Just make sure it's the same size tire, that's all. Make sure it's the same numbers. It's the same exact tire. The load index just means it's a better tire. You're better off with it. It means you can take more weight. Whether you put more weight or not, it's a better made tire. If it can handle more weight, it can handle higher braking, hitting things on the road because it's a little bit stronger tire. It's a smart move to do that. You're actually upgrading your tires. Now, if you went the other way and went to a lower index, no, that would be a stupid thing to do because then you might get more flat tires. It wouldn't be able to handle as much weight. It probably wouldn't corner as well. Yeah, that's a smart idea. Scott Girding said, I'm looking to buy a 2005 Honda VTX 1300. First, do you know how to drive motorcycles? That's a powerful motorcycle. It might be more power than you actually can handle. Test one before you even think about buying one. Modern motorcycles have so much power, and that's a really big one. You might not need that power. You might find that you can't handle that power. There's a big deal of difference. You get on like a 600cc sports bike. It doesn't weigh as much. It's got a lot of speed, but it handles like a dream. Race and suspension, and they will handle well. If you know how to drive them, they're very good machines. They got on a 1300, maybe they said, this thing's a hog, it weighs too much, it doesn't handle as well. Decide, do you really need something that big? Now, if you decide you want it, my advice, you got to pay a mechanic like me to check it out because there are so many things that can go wrong with a motorcycle. Motorcycle engines, anything. A sports toy. People can rag the heck and it could be on its last legs. So you need a mechanic to check it out for sure before you buy. Well, that company, CATL, C-A-T-L, is going to supply BMW with cylindrical electric batteries for their electric vehicles. I don't understand why they didn't do that before. It's the most efficient way of doing it. Cylindrical. It's the most efficient use of space. Those Optima batteries are cylindrical cells inside. Now, I mean, that's kind of a weird example because they were great batteries decades ago. They were made in the United States, and then they started making them in Mexico, and the quality went downhill with them. The idea behind it is great. If you build them correctly, cylindrical is best. It's just that if you start making them in a country like Mexico, the quality goes down. That kind of ruins the whole idea of a more efficient battery that isn't made correctly and wears out too fast. See, people get 8-10 years out of one of those cylindrical batteries that they put in cars. Sometimes now they last a year or two when they break because of quality control issues in Mexico. And yeah, they're not as neatly and square and flat to fit in something, but whether or not electric vehicles ever make it big in the near future, no one knows. It is a better idea to make the things cylindrical. Just from a pure physics standpoint, it is more efficient to make them that way. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.